Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are jumping into our first segment this morning. And as we mentioned, it's all about the Digital Leadership Conference Belize 2024. This morning, we have some representatives joining us, talking to us about it in person and virtually, of course. Fitting to have it digital as well. This morning, joining us is Dr. Dion Chamberlain Miranda, and she is the Managing Director of Chamberlain Consultings Limited. Joining her is also Henry Anderson, and he is the CEO of DFC. Charlene Coote, and she is the Deputy Director of Belize Tax Services. And joining us virtually is Christian Jr., and he is the CEO of RICS UK. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So, the Digital Leadership Conference Belize 2024. We were just talking about how fitting a conference like this, or the conversation around bridging the digital divide, is, especially after COVID-19, that had us rely so immensely on digital platforms and communicating with each other during or using digital mediums. Let's talk about a conference of this kind here in Belize.
Well, we're excited. I met Christian at a conference in Trinidad last year, and the conference is about disruption.
Okay.
And obviously, digitalization is really creating a huge disruption. But the disruption is created because there's a gap between our knowledge of what it is, fear of what it brings, and the fact that we have to prepare our people. And that's why we're excited about bringing this, because leadership needs to understand it's not only about the nuts and the bolts and the implementing of amazing equipment. It's really about bringing your people on board, which includes change management. It really creates guidance and training to ensure that resistance is not there. But it's also pulling the Belizean people along so that they embrace it, because it's very difficult. As you know, I mean, look at your state-of-the-art environment here at Channel 5. You all have gone fully digital, and it took over 2 to 3 years. I know that staff become impatient. It's a hard environment to work in, but look at what you're producing now. And COVID has bridged that gap. We are no longer separate or different from any part in the world. We are now on track. The Belize Tax Service is here with, I mean, they're digitized, and there was resistance, but look at where we are. Ease, freedom, no lines.
Yeah.
Look at DFC, the amazing thing that they're doing for women, children, girls, boys in Belize in terms of becoming digital. And of course, Chris Jr., who pulled it all together for us, cybersecurity expert and all of that, so that we can actually move forward together. And he's helping us with the Caribbean, not only Belize, and we're excited to have him on board as well.
We know the benefits, as you rightly mentioned, of going digital. But you also mentioned something really critical, which are fares that are involved, and that comes from all companies, even people on the ground. We were just talking about a story that I recently did, which highlighted one of the only primary schools here in Belize going fully digital. Of course, that came with some backlash. And I believe that would have come from the fare. What would you identify some of these fares to be?
We're human, and humans don't like change, and we need preparation. We do this profiling within our company, and there are different types of personalities. They're the ones who are gung-ho, jump very quickly. I know Isani is one of those people. But we also have the people who take their time. They need to learn, grow slow, and we have to embrace everybody. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this big generational issue within organizations, because a lot of us are stodgy and old. I don't want to put myself in that little box, but when young people are moving ahead and needing headphones and all of this stuff, and we're putting in all these rules with regulations and trying to keep things business the way it was, it cannot be business as usual. It has to be business unusual. We have to bring people on board, and we have to work with their fares, because if you don't have desire, you will always have resistance. And a lot of people don't understand the value of change management towards digital environments. But it is absolutely important that you manage change, you work with your people, you embrace all of them, all generations, and pull them on board. But let's move on to the other people.
It's interesting that you mentioned that this was brought about by disruptors, right? I think in any environment, you need someone who, in a sense, goes against the established order, the status quo, in order to usher some kind of change. Because we get very comfortable when we're in an environment where we're used to the way things are on a day-to-day. Someone brings a fresh idea, or someone comes with a different energy and completely offsets what's been taking place for so long in the workplace. My question for CEO Anderson is, how did this change at the DFC come about? Was it something that you collectively agreed this is a direction, or was it also based on perhaps a disruptor experience?
All right, so when I became the chairman of the DFC, the Honorable Prime Minister asked to two things: to improve client service and to operate the DFC as a business. While development impact is the goal, you have to, create profit. Disrupt is a positive thing, right? It's not chaos. And what we're seeking to do is to provide the best client experience. DFC is not competing with the commercial banking sector, but at the end of the day, a year from now, what we hope to see, if when you talk about client satisfaction, DFC is mentioned positively, then we would have achieved that. We are working to double our portfolio in 3 years without increasing the footprint by 20% to make DFC sustainable. But if you're going to double the portfolio and you won't increase your expenses by more than 20%, then that means you need to change how you work. And that was the basis for digitalization. We all often talk about digital transformation and people think software and hardware and everything, but it starts with people, process, and then the technology comes in. So what we're doing at the DFC right now, and we talk about leading change, not really managing it because you have to lead the people, but we have done two things. We're adopting a platform, and we're at the testing phase right now, that it's no code, and it's quantum technology, and it comes with AI and machine learning. And what no code means is that we are able to make whatever changes we need in the system, all right, without requiring anybody to come back and charge us $1,000 per day to be able to do it. So it gives us flexibility. And that is important because as DFC evolves into a real development finance institution, meaning we're not only doing loans, we're administering grants, we're doing equity positions, we're doing guarantees, we're doing blended financing. We need to have the technology to be able to seamless client experience. The other thing we need to do is to measure impact, right? You put money into different areas, what's the impact? So what we're working on right now is what we call our MEALS, our Monitoring, Evaluation, and Learning System, or Learning Strategy. DFC collects a lot of information, but it's all manual. So it's difficult to make evidence-based decisions with it. So as part of implementing the new core management system that we're putting in, we're automating our MEALS as well. So we're doing it together. So let's say by the first quarter next year, then we will be able, every piece of data in our system, we're able to touch and to analyze. So we're bringing all of these things together. The second thing we have done is to use an agile methodology. All right, so instead of going where you go A, B, C, D, and you look back, we do iterations. So the first iteration is made up of 7 sprints. A sprint is 1 week. And then we have different teams that are designed to work with the consultants to put it together. What this does, it has about 40% of our team involved in developing the solution. That brings buy-in because you're getting consensus, you're getting feedback. What I have learned in my career is the people who know the solutions are the people doing the work. So the more you listen to them, the better you can innovate, right? We have changed, this is all part of our rebranding effort, right? And so we have changed our corporate philosophy. And one of the values we have in there is innovation. And we say we listen, right? We change and we invest. And so that brings all of it together.
I'm glad that you've mentioned that change in the corporate philosophy because more often than not in the workplace, those who quote unquote call the shots are very rigid and firm in their own belief of how things should be. And so the experts can be around, those with experience can be around and offer their suggestions. But if they are firm in their mindset that this is what we want to do, then it's almost as if though there's a bucking of heads as to what should actually be the most practical approach to solving an issue.
Well, if I could respond to that, right? It's all about competitiveness at the end of the day. As a development finance institution, we need to contribute to development of Belize's economy. And one way to do that is to support initiatives like this, and that is why we're here. What you have to look at, and to the point I was talking with you guys earlier, look at the world now as it's a digital world. What COVID did, it made those of us who didn't realize that wake up. Like if I look at what I learned when I did my MBA back in the early 90s, it's still relevant, except it was brick and mortar then. Now it's digital, so I had to go and relearn. right? And there's a school of thought that says you have digital immigrants, people like us, our age,
Yeah.
and you have digital natives. Give you a simple example. You take a baby now. At 1 year old, a baby can use a remote, can get on your phone and do everything.
Yeah.
For us, that was a big thing, probably even now. And so when you look at our education system, and going to the example you made, when you hear people saying that it can't be done that way, that's where it is going. And kids now have the ability to do 3, 4, 5 things. They can multitask because that's the world. So we need to revamp how we do things in Belize in our education system to bring the technology in. And there's the whole issue of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get jumpy. When Henry Ford started the factory to build cars, everybody said, well, the workers will be displaced. Well, Boeing has a big strike going on for over a month for a lot of people, and you still have workers working in factories. What AI is essentially a slave. It is a tool that you have do the donkey work for you while you do the more difficult work. Now, AI will replace people who don't know to use AI with people who do. And so when you look at the education system as well, a lot of times they're looking at AI as plagiarizing.
Yeah.
Well, you need to teach
And
the
being
kids,
lazy.
right? You need to teach the kids how to use it, right? We all use calculators now. We all use spreadsheets now. Back when I was a kid, they would say, no, you don't use the calculator. Some of that was good because I can
Get
still
to
do
one
numbers in my
graphic
head,
and
right?
draw the graph by
Right. So
hand.
at the end of the day, what this creates for countries like Belize that are up and coming, we can use our brain. Our brain is as good as anybody else. So it allows us to build an economy that's based on technology and less brick and mortar, and then we're able to close the gap and do the things we need to do. Right? So it's exciting.
Yeah, let's get the representative from the Belize Tax Service in on the conversation at this point. Good morning once
Hi,
again.
good morning, and thanks for having me. On behalf of our department, I must say we are going through some major technological transformation as we speak. And surprisingly, but it was adamant to happen, all of our transformation took place during COVID. It is currently still ongoing. We started as far back as 2019, whereby we have implemented our online new platform by the name of Iris Belize.
Yes.
And it went live, we launched it in 2021. So the Department of Belize Tax Service as well is going through some type of technological transformation. It's like what the world is doing at the moment. We cannot be sitting down and having the world pass us by. We need to keep up with the pace. And like what was mentioned before, we face the same challenges when it comes to our internal stakeholders, when it comes to our staff. They find a little bit of reluctance in regards to the change. Nobody likes change, as we mentioned. And similarly, we find the same situation with our external stakeholders, our taxpayers, you know. But it's just a matter of holding their hands, guiding them through the process, and encouraging them to use this new platform. It makes things so much easier, so much more efficient. They're able to have all the information at their fingertips. So this is one of the reasons why when it came to the digital leadership portion, we were pleased to partner with Ms. Chamberlain and her other stakeholders in order to be a part of this conference that will be taking place, you know. The other thing about it is the leadership aspect of it. For us at Belize Tax Service, equipping our leaders specifically to lead our teams or our staff throughout this technological change is very important for us. And that is one of the things where wherever we could gather information and partner with any organization similar to Ms. Chamberlain, we jump at the opportunity because we see the benefits not only just for BTS, but for Belize on a whole.
Yes, excellent point. But I do want to get Mr. Junior in the conversation. We have joining us Christian Junior, CEO of RICS UK virtually. Good morning, Mr. Christian.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you. Now, I'm sure you have been listening keenly to the three representatives joining us this morning as well in person. Now, speaking to the conference itself, I want to talk about what it's like putting together something like this with, of course, Dr. Chamberlain in appealing to businesses and agencies who are just now trying to embrace digital or digitalizing their companies.
Thank you very much for having me on the program, I must say. I think that Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good, good. I think that this is a much needed program in Belize. We have carried out these programs in the UK, in parts of Africa as well, and other parts of the Caribbean. And what we find consistently is that people suffer as a result of the lack of knowledge. I think listening in on the call, I've heard a few things being mentioned about how people are scared of digitization, which is a legitimate concern because we have a lot of cybersecurity issues nowadays. I think training people and teaching them and letting them understand the tools that are available, the technologies that are there to safeguard them and protect them, they will understand that these tech platforms and tools have a lot of benefits. And it would reduce the fear of using these platforms because they now understand that maybe by utilizing two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, nobody can hack into my account. And then we talk about artificial intelligence a lot. I think a lot of people in developing nations, particularly small businesses, they see it as a major thing to take part in, either as a result of it taking jobs of employees or their lack of technological know-how to implement AI tools. What we are trying to do is say to these small businesses, AI doesn't have to sound as huge or as big as it does. We can show you very simple tools that you could implement literally in a matter of weeks and months that you can start harnessing the power of AI, be it in improving customer services, improving sales, and the likes of it. So the Digital Leadership Conference really is there, and it's at a ripe moment to really complement the businesses that are doing stuff, tell their stories to the rest of Belize, and then the smaller businesses that are exploring tech and digital tools and platforms, we can also bring them up to speed with what is available. Somebody also mentioned something about the people that are making the decisions not being tech savvy and not understanding what is available out there or the power of tech. I think that's a problem we find a lot, particularly in the Caribbean region. And how we deal with that problem really is we utilize data. So we show them a lot of data. So for example, if I sit in front of a decision maker in Belize, I will tell them that you have over 70% of your population that are active internet users. Out of 40,000 people, over 60% of them have social media accounts. They're active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. As a government, as a business, you must prioritize these platforms that your citizens use on a daily basis to deliver service, products, advertising, or even basic messaging to them. I would also tell the government, look at the data. 60% of your population use mobile devices to access the internet. Therefore, you must also prioritize mobile infrastructure, mobile devices, and investment in mobile platforms and mobile applications. So when we bring in the data and show them the data and show them practically how tweaking one or two things can actually lead to more growth or productivity, you usually get the buy-in of stakeholders. When you show people how they will make money or achieve more productivity by utilizing data, you kind of shift them a little bit. But we have a challenge in these regions that the data is very difficult to find. But events like these are very, very important because we're bringing together a lot of stakeholders. We will discuss and create platforms and avenues and talk about data sharing. So it's easier for businesses to make decisions and do what it is they want to do with tech. Sorry, I could go on forever. I don't know how much time I have.
No, you're fine. This is a space for that. But you mentioned great points, Christian. One of the things that I think will be interesting for persons tuning in to know is, who is this conference for? Is it for the leaders of these businesses? Is it for the workers who are actively involved with the technological aspect of the business itself? Or is it simply for anyone who would like to learn how to improve on technology?
We believe that it's for anyone. And the reason we say that is because we have practical solutions on the ground. We have practical sponsors who have implemented a lot of this on the ground in Belize. So this is not that we're bringing in an international movie star saying that he's made it big. This is local heroes who have driven this digital divide and are bridging it. In fact, Belize is now an example to many other countries. The Belize Tax Service, what they implemented, is being looked at within the Caribbean as a first-class, best in implementation by the EU as well. So the reality is that COVID bridged a divide that we are no longer lagging. We are now at the forefront, but we've got to tell people that we are. We've got to tell our citizens that we are number one in something, and we're moving towards certain things. And we've got to get everybody on board. So we're thinking that students who want to come, and we're going to be having scholarship opportunities. If you write in and say why you belong there and why you can't afford to come, we will embrace you. And that's why we have sponsors, because they are the ones who will be providing those opportunities for people coming in. Sponsorship isn't just to pay for bills. It's to encourage others who can't be there to be there. We're looking at leaders, CEOs, CTOs, at whatever level. What we're excited about, we're seeing like a farm registered 2 of their people to come. And yes, because food security and agriculture now requires that you use technology in the sugar industry, in the cattle industry. So one of the things is that we have these limiting beliefs of what industry or what areas digital and digitization belongs. It belongs in every aspect of our lives. And like Henry mentioned, we've got to stop being digital immigrants. I mean, there's no green card being given out for this. I mean, we've got to become natives, no matter how old we are or how young we are. We've got to embrace it, because if we do not pivot, we will perish.
That was quite indeed a strong statement there. What I'm also interested to know is what the structure of this conference will be. Is it one day? Is it a few days? How will the layout be in terms of information that will be shared?
It is a one day. We wanted it to be a 2-day, but we didn't know how receptive people would have been to that. We do plan to make it annual and have a second day. However, we're looking at whatever spin-offs that we can have from it, whether we can have some roundtable forums the following days with persons who would love to gather. But we do have master classes that will be taught. We have 3 lunch and learn sessions, so attendees can decide where they want to go. We have a TikTok specialist coming in, a Facebook specialist coming in, and we have a cybersecurity. So that's lunch and learn. You get to go into a separate room and learn with them. We'll have case studies. We'll have our sponsors who are able to do talks and present what it is that they've done. So yes, it's a myriad of different areas that we're doing. And then of course we're having a round table at the end where we will have somebody from the, different persons within the local environment speaking on different topics. And I wanted to share with you some of the topics that will be discussed in that final forum. They're not finalized yet, but I thought that you would love to hear them. One of them is digital transformation or digital colonialism. Who really benefits? Automation and AI, the silent threat to jobs or key to growth. Cybersecurity in small economies, are we ready for the next big attack? The digital divide, are we leaving Belize's rural communities behind? Because we've got to take care of our rural and areas. General conflict in the digital workplace, can boomers and Gen Z thrive together? So these are some thoughtful questions, yes, and we're excited to have Minister Koyi will open up the session, and we'll have people from government who will be speaking on their areas. But it's not a government issue. However, for private sector to be able to thrive, academia to be able to grow, Galen is one of our sponsors as well, we really need to ensure that everybody's at that table, listening in, bringing in their points. And we're hoping that we get to come on many other shows so that we can start to create the conversation around this. So we're excited, and you've seen our list of sponsors, and we're grateful for you for having us here as well. It's November 13th at the Belize Biltmore Plaza, and it's a long day. Imagine 8 until 6. It's the longest conference I think that I've planned in my past, but it's worth it because the conversation is rich and people are signing up like crazy. However, we're capping at 150 because we cannot afford that everybody doesn't get that space to speak and converse. So it's going rather fast.
And the tickets are 600?
The tickets are 600, but we've decided, and Christian and I have decided, that anybody who says they saw this show on OYE, they can get the early bird. So you have to say why, or you have to say, I'm calling to get a ticket because I saw you all on OYE.
I was convinced.
Yes, on OYE, and you get the early bird for today.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for giving that opportunity to our viewers to tune in and, of course, engage in conversations like this. As we wrap up this segment, I'll give you guys a final opportunity to share some last words.
Well, I'd just like to add that the discussions we have had, we have not said one thing, that we have companies in Belize that are creating world-class digital solutions. At DFC, when we started out, we use what is called a discovery-driven method. So planning method. You go to the early hanging fruit and you move on. And we wanted to focus on people. So the first digital transformation we did was with Neo People for a whole human resources information system. And that's a locally developed piece of software that's being used in the States, in the Caribbean, in different parts of the world. And a lot of people don't realize that, right? And when you look at other systems from outside of Belize, it stands up and it's better than what you have, and it brings a flexibility. So it's not only about the TikToks and this, we also have professionals doing that. So.
And he's one of the presenting partners along with Chamberlain Consulting and Ricks. Also, we have online attendees from around the world as well, by the way.
Wonderful.
So the conversation will be, yes, we have people signing up in Africa, in America, in the region, and even some Belizeans who can't make it to the Biltmore that day. So again, it's going to be offered on a hybrid perspective for those who absolutely want to be there. So we're excited about that as well.
So for the DFC, basically what we're doing is moving to a digital first organization to improve client satisfaction. And within Q1 of next year, our clients will see omni-channels and different things that will allow, seamless follow-up and interaction with us.
Kudos to you guys for doing that. Of course, we do want to get some final thoughts from Ms. Kuta as well.
Yes, for us, what we're excited about is that even though we're currently going through our transformational changes, technological-wise, it's just announced that soon we'll be proceeding into our third phase of our IRIS portal, whereby taxpayers will be able to register their businesses online. So as we said, we started during COVID, and it's a phased approach that we're implementing. It takes a couple of years, of course, and we're working on our final stages. Our user acceptance team is currently testing the platform with that feature. So that will be rolling out soon. But at the same time, I would just like to share that the tax service sees this opportunity of utmost importance, not only for leaders, but at the same time for both the organization, or leaders there, and our taxpayers. And we're proud to be a part of this initiative with Ms. Chamberlain, because I must say we have worked with her before. Specifically during our change management and communication process for our IRIS Belize platform, and we can vouch for her product that she puts out there.
Wonderful.
So we'd like to invite everybody to be a part of this conference.
Yes, and thank you guys so much for joining us. Mr. Junior as well, thank you so much for joining us virtually. As we wrap up this segment, we'll ask if you have any final thoughts as well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right, sorry about that. Okay. I think my colleagues have said a lot. When you look at the theme of this conference, it is called Strategy, Engagement, and Security. My colleagues have talked a lot about, for example, what the tax services are doing, what I think is the DFC are doing as well. So they've covered a lot of talk about the strategies these corporations have put in place to engage citizens or customers or people. The final part of what we're going to look at this conference is the security aspect of it, which a lot of businesses in Belize, I'm sorry to say this, are not paying a lot of attention to. And it has become the biggest problem in the world. It is no longer when your business will get attacked, but rather, it is no longer if, but rather when you will fall victim to a successful attack. So one of the things that we look at is, you've got all this beautiful infrastructure, you're engaging the citizens, how are you keeping them safe? In addition to that, how are you communicating these safety measures? Are you using the latest technologies, biometrics, all these types of implementations to make sure you're keeping citizens safe as well? So in addition to all of the nice strategies we've implemented, all of the engagement tools and platforms we have in place, we will spend a lot of time looking at how we can safeguard these platforms. Our critical infrastructure, utility companies are falling victims, hospitals and financial institutions, and even the smallest businesses in Belize and the rest of the Caribbean. I think it's something that we really need to pay a lot of attention to. Else, all of these digital things that we're doing could also become our downfall. And that's why a lot of people in these regions are scared of digital transformation, because it exposes them to a lot of online risk. But there are measures and tools in place that we will expose a lot of participants to put all of these kinds of concerns to rest. So we look forward to having everybody in 4 weeks' time And thank you for having me today. It's been a pleasure being here.
Yes,
Thank
and
you
thank you so much for joining us as well. Thank you to you guys as well for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. I know we didn't have time to thank all of our sponsors,
Yes.
but they know who they are and their logos have shown.
And they were
So
on the
please
screen.
Please know that we appreciate you being a part of this, and Socias and Belize Bank also for speaking at the event. We're really happy to have Sonia and Agatha on board as well.
Wonderful. All right, well, we got to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into empowering HR leaders to drive organizational success.